For years, tensions have been running high in the South China Sea, where Asian nations say Chinese vessels harass their Coast Guard ships, their oil and gas operations, and their fishermen. Beijing says that it has indisputable sovereignty over much of the resource-rich sea, using this 9-dash line to roughly outline its claims. The line has been ruled invalid by international courts, but Beijing has ignored that ruling, sparking anger in neighboring countries. Now, China's efforts to control the sea are pushing some of its neighbors closer to the United States.
These all are fresh, different kinds of fish.
So these just came out of the water?
Yeah.
Wow.
Along the coast of the Philippines, fishing is the lifeblood of many communities. And fish are the #2 food staple after rice.
How often do you eat seafood?
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
Because my father is a fisherman, so he always cooks fish.
About half of the country's fish are caught by independent local fisherfolk like Glycel Muñoz's father and his friends. For them, a reef called Scarborough Shoal used to be a gold mine.
Just better in Scarborough because they have a lot.
There's tons of fish.
Just ton of fish, yes.
Felix Albinco says he used to be able to get most of his catch at Scarborough until China occupied the reef in 2012. He says fishermen are now scared to go out there because of Chinese harassment.
They block you if you're going there. This is a Chinese territory. They always say that.
These days, fishermen say they have to work much harder to bring in a huge catch. Sometimes they only bring home a fourth of what they used to. And one local group estimates that incomes have fallen by as much as 70% since fishermen in this area have been cut off from Scarborough Shoal. Scarborough Shoal is just one of the disputed territories in the South China Sea that is controlled by China. This map shows how China's 9-dash line claims overlap with the claims of its neighbors, countries like the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam. There is also some overlap among these smaller nations too. Within those lines, some disputed sites are rich with fish, others with oil and gas. The South China Sea has 11 billion barrels of proven and probable oil reserves, and these resources are seen as critical to these countries' food and energy security. An international court gave some of China's neighbors hope in 2016 when it rejected China's claims in the South China Sea. That ruling stemmed from an unprecedented legal challenge brought by the Philippines. But China has refused to recognize it.
It was meant to define what is ours. Because for a small country, you cannot compete with an aggressive neighbor who's bullying you over your territories.
Victor Monhit runs polling on issues like China's actions in the South China Sea.
They are the most distrusted country among Filipinos.
In recent years, China has built artificial islands over reefs and added all kinds of military hardware throughout the South China Sea.
How big of a threat is that to the Philippines?
It's a big threat. It's a greater security threat because it brings them closer to us.
But with few resources to push back, taking on China alone is a major challenge. That's why some of China's neighbors are growing closer to the United States, which has been strengthening its alliances and its military presence in the Pacific. Aboard the USS Miguel Keith, we met Jill Goldenseal, a lawfare expert advising the U.S. military.
We continue to protest China's presence out here, and we do this in conjunction with our allies and partners.
The U.S. regularly sails through the sea to uphold the principle of freedom of navigation under international law, and it's in talks with the Philippines and other Pacific partners to launch joint patrols later this year.
Continually protesting China's presence matters a lot, and exposing what they're doing matters a lot.
The Philippines recently struck a deal with the U.S. to give it access to more military bases in the country, and the two nations held the largest ever combined exercises this year, including military drills over the sea. U.S.-Vietnam relations have also been strengthening, and there has been talk about upgrading the relationship to a strategic partnership.
The United States is committed to supporting a strong, prosperous, independent, and resilient Vietnam.
But after more than 20 years of Chinese expansion, some experts say it might be hard to change the balance of power in the region, especially since no country wants to see tensions in the South China Sea escalate into a war.